Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Kyle.
Knockouts and three counts.
Yes, sir. Knockouts and three counts. It's just the two of us in the studio this time, man.
Yeah, man, I think they all don't love us anymore.
And we got a little bit of a later start, but we have a very special guest that'll be joining us. We'll introduce him in a second. Before we introduce our very, very special guest, why don't we do our intros? Mr. Collison, why don't you go first?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Detroit Knockout, at Detroit Knockout. That's Twitter and Instagram. Find me at Kyle Collison on Facebook. And make sure you follow the Knockouts and Three Counts podcast page. And follow us at Twitter and Instagram and all that shit at KO3CPod.
Yes, sir. And I am Devin McKenzie. You can find me on Twitter at Devin63. That's DEVINTHE.
Might look alike.
I do not look like Suge Knight.
In the picture that we got as a logo.
Oh, okay. All right. I was about to say. You can hit me up on Twitter at Devin63. That's DEVINTHE63. You can find me on Instagram at All Steak No Sizzle. Make sure you check out the Reality Era News page on Facebook where we talk wrestling. If you're looking for a car, make sure you check out SouthfieldQualityCars.com. Once you find your vehicle that you would like to purchase and you go to make that purchase, use the reference code 19309 and you will receive $500 off on your purchase. That is 19309 to receive $500 off. Kyle, why don't you go ahead and introduce our very, very special guest, man?
So on the line with us, we have the return of the number 10 ranked bantamweight in the world right now, UFC's Cody Stamann, Michigan's own. How you doing, brother, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad.
Yeah, glad to have you. Cody, why don't you go ahead and throw your social media out there and any sponsors or plugs that you need to make, sir?
Just Cody Stamann everywhere, all across the board. The sponsors are plugged. Nobody's paying me to get out here right now, so they can kiss my butt.
Hey, man.
You don't even want to plug the world famous MTT?
MichiganTT.com. Yeah, I guess we can plug those guys.
Man, well, thank you for joining us on the show once again, man. We had you in here, I want to say, February?
Yeah, it was in the winter sometime.
Sometime in the winter, but yeah, it's good to have you back, man.
Yeah, they're in Royal Oak. Yeah, I love that studio. Are you guys moving? Are the studios moving? Detroit Podcast might be moving.
We've opened another location, but we're staying here in Royal Oak as well.
Okay, cool. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, we decided to have you on the show, man, because you got a very, very special announcement that was made just a couple of days ago, man. You're going to be fighting September 8th in Dallas against Aljamain Sterling. This is a big fight for you, man. What's your thoughts about this big announcement?
It's not day of the office for me. I hopped on Twitter a few months back and kind of, sealed the deal with this one. Talked a little shit, made it happen. That seems to be the way to get fans interested in to make these fights happen nowadays. So, yeah, Sterling and I are going to sell that shit in the cage. I'm going to fucking knock him out.
So clearly your plan worked because dude got ruffled when we tried to get him to come on the show with us too, man. I don't know if you saw that, but this dude was tripping.
Yeah, he's just he's not a big fan of me, and there's going to be no love lost kicking his head into the stand.
So what was it about this matchup that interested you? Was it just that he's higher up than you? Was it something you see in his fight style that you can exploit? What is it that made you want to go after this matchup?
Both, really. I mean, obviously, he's a tough dude. Everybody in the UFC, in the bantamweight division, it's pretty stacked. 1 through 10, all those guys, are all potential guys that could be, fighting for the belt. So, there's really no easy fights for me here on out. I mean, every single guy I'm fighting is going to be a killer. So, it's just about getting the right leverage, fighting the guys that have the clout behind them. Because it's like Tom Duquesnoy when I fought him. He was like the number one prospect in MMA, like all the way in any weight class. He was talking about being the champ, and within a year, all this crazy shit, and I beat him. And then I kind of took that clout, kind of put myself in a position where, there were a lot of eyes on me. And then, my next fight is against a top 10 bantamweight, while I wasn't even ranked. and Brian Caraway. When I would beat him, and now I feel like I've kind of legitimized myself, in the UFC. I'm getting put in a video game.
Wow,
It's just another opportunity to, kind of solidify my position, as one of the best in the world. Aljamain Sterling at one point was ranked like number 4. So, he was like in belt contention. So, beating a guy like that, a guy that a lot of people believe, eventually is going to be the champ, that kind of puts me right up there with, all those other guys that you mentioned that, could be belt contenders. And that's what I want to be.
So, have you ever fought in Dallas before?
No, Darren fought in Dallas. I've been to Dallas. It was a nice place. Texas school.
Wait, where's the bell? I actually went to that fight.
I would have rather fought in Vegas, where my last 3 fights have been. But you can't fight every time in Vegas. So eventually, I knew it was gonna have to be. But I'm just glad it's stateside. We're gonna fight in the U.S.
Are you heading out with Darren for his fight in Ryzen?
Yes, I leave tomorrow morning.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I gotta get home and pack. Yeah, I got a freaking 13-hour flight. I'm gonna wake up, work out, and I'll be on a plane all tomorrow afternoon, and then basically I'll land sometime like in the middle of the night, your time, and then start my day. It's gonna be a long freaking day tomorrow.
Well, you mentioned that your a couple of your last fights was in Vegas, and now this is going to be in Dallas. The question I was going to ask you is there anything that you know of that you have to prepare for differently in fighting in Dallas? Is it, the elevation or anything going to bother you, or is it not even an issue in Dallas that you know of?
I don't think Dallas. I don't think there's no elevation in Dallas. I think it's pretty much sea level. So I'm not really. That'd be like if I was fighting in New Mexico or something like that. I really have to think about what I'd want to do that just because of the elevation, and I'd probably have to go to elevation to train to prepare. But Dallas is pretty much sea level, pretty much the same as we are. So I shouldn't have any issues with that. But there's a lot that goes into it. I potentially could have been on this Canadian card in Calgary, and I said absolutely no way because when you fight out of the country, not only is it logistically a pain in the ass, but it's also a huge pain in the ass because you're going to get taxed twice. That money you got to pay taxes on it in Canada and in the U.S. That's a tough gig.
Wow. Yeah, that's part of the fight business that a lot of people don't know about, man. I didn't know that you get taxed twice on that.
yeah, they hammer you in taxes.
So coming off of your last fight, coming into this fight with Aljamain Sterling, is there anything that you learned from your last fight that maybe, that surprised you from your last fight coming into this fight? Anything that makes you want to do something different? Like, or is it another day at the office?
Coming into my last fight, I got really banged up in training camp. I tore some cartilage in my ribs. I tore my meniscus in my knee. So I really went into that fight like really banged up, and it was really hard to train. I had to basically train around injuries my entire training camp. So like for 4 weeks, I couldn't even like turn my upper body. Basically, I was restricted to like riding a bike to prepare for that fight. So this training camp, I just want to be more careful and stay healthy. Because ultimately, I know how to fight. I just got to sharpen these tools and get my conditioning to the absolute, max. Where I can go hard no matter where the fight ends up. I can recover fast and be prepared to basically do anything I need to do at that stage. My main focus in this training camp is just getting in shape and being healthy. Other than obviously some style specific stuff that I'll train for. That Aljamain maybe does a lot, or habits that he has, I'll try to exploit. But for the most part, my main goal right now is just weight management and getting in great shape without getting injured. It's a lot easier said than done. Fighting is a pretty volatile sport, and you can get fucked up pretty easy in training.
Yeah, I'm looking at this card right now, and honestly, I'm kind of halfway thinking about making the trip down to Dallas, man. This is a really good card. Um,
Yeah.
they just announced the main event, which is going to be Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till. Um, the women's flyweight championship will be defended on this one. You got Yair Rodriguez, Carla Esparza on this card, Jimmy Rivera versus Johnson. It's really a good card. So this far out, do you have any idea where your fight is going to be placed on this card, or is that something that's kind of determined closer to fight day?
I don't know. I mean, it could easily be it could either be on the pay-per-view portion of the card, which obviously I would love, but Riviera and Dotson are ranked a little bit higher than me and Ultraman are, so I could also see those guys making the pay-per-view spot. But I think it's just really about who makes the most noise. Who the fans want to see. Obviously if Aljamain and I keep going back and forth on Twitter and we hype our fight up, I think we're definitely going to be in the pay-per-view rather than those guys. I think that's really what it comes down to is the fight. We got to make it. We got to sell the fight. We got to make people want to watch this shit. So,
right.
I'm going to keep goating him into our little Twitter beef and try to make some money.
So speaking of, fighting Aljamain and being higher up now that you're in the top 10, like, has anything changed for you, like, mindset-wise, training-wise, like, just the idea of being, that high up, or does it add anything different from when you're, your first few fights in the UFC?
No, I mean, I feel like no. I feel like maybe there's even like less pressure on me because I've made it to where I want to go, but I'm not really one of those guys that like really feeds into like any of the freaking news or the media or any of the bullcrap that a lot of people like feed off of. I was an underdog in my last two fights, so if I'm an underdog again, that really isn't going to affect me at all. I'm used to being the underdog and going out winning. I feel like that actually helps me. That kind of puts a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, makes the train, just maybe put that extra round in, because I want it that much worse when someone tells me, I can't have it or I'm not supposed to win. It just makes me, want to do it that much more.
You were kind of saying that you and Aljamain are basically gonna have to kind of hype the fight up a little bit more to make sure you guys get on that pay-per-view. Is that something that, and basically you kind of said too that in order to get this fight you had to start a little something with him on Twitter. Is that something that you're comfortable with, or is that you just kind of realize that that's kind of the game right now and that's what you have to do to get your name out there and get the fights that you want?
No, I mean, I think it's just all about the entertainment aspect of fighting. I think a lot of guys miss that. Fighting, as much as you're an athlete, you're an entertainer. We're not just professional football players. That 100% of everything we do is performance based. A lot of fighting is you selling it. You got to promote yourself. You got to promote your brand. The guys that are making the big bucks aren't necessarily the guys that are the highest ranked, but it's the guys that are the most popular. There's dudes that aren't even ranked in the UFC that are making six figures in sponsorship. So I want to be one of those guys. I want to have a lot of eyes on me, and in and outside the cage. Because I want to get paid, and the easiest way to do that is to use social media and use those tools that we have to kind of build that brand and make people love or hate you. Nobody has to like me. They just have to want to see me either get my ass kicked or beat someone's ass. That's it.
Well, that kind of leads me into a question that I was going to ask you later on, but I might as well bring it up now. A couple of weeks ago, DC, Daniel Cormier, he won the heavyweight championship. He's now, double champion right now. And after that fight, he called out Brock Lesnar, who is one of the biggest names in the history of the UFC, but hasn't necessarily, been there due to USADA. That's probably the biggest fight in the UFC that's pending right now. In your opinion, do you feel like that fight should happen, or do you think Brock deserves that shot, or do you think it's basically a business move on the UFC's part to have Brock face DC?
I mean, the UFC is a business. I've been asked this question a few times, and everyone, I think people have a lot of like mixed feelings about it. They're like, yeah, there's other guys that deserve it more, but really, if it makes money, it makes sense.
Right.
That's what we're here to do, right? We're here to make money. The UFC's a business. The UFC needs to make money too, because they got a lot of people they need to pay, a lot of shit they got to pay for. So you're asking me. I mean, I think 100%. Like, let's watch that fight. I mean, I paid to watch that fight. Do people want to watch it? Hell yeah. I mean, if it makes money, it makes sense, because ultimately the bottom line is the dollar sign, right? It's a business. For me, it's like, if you take away my ranking, but you tell me you're gonna pay me twice the amount of money, like 100% take it away. I don't care. Who gives a shit about a ranking?
Right.
When it's all said and done, I want a paycheck. I'm fighting for money. Anybody that tells you anything else is full of shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, take that paycheck away and see if you still go out there and get your ass beat in the cage.
Could we see you on that card? I'm guessing maybe that fight will happen early next year. Could we see you on that Brock Lesnar DC card?
Dude, I'd love to be on that card. That's the best way to do it. Be on a card with one of those big draws. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine how much your following would grow if you were on one of Conor McGregor's cards? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of guys have gotten famous on the undercard with Conor McGregor. So, I mean, that shit would be huge. I'd be all about that.
So now that you've got this fight coming up, like, that brings up a good point. Now that you're getting to the top 10, like you said, there's really no duds once you get into the top 10. You've got good guys everywhere you look. Now, with the current landscape of the bantamweight division, do you have any other fights, any like matchups with, like, I don't know, a Frankie Edgar or somebody like that you'd like to see maybe down the road if all goes well with Sterling?
Yeah, I mean, I think, super fights are where the money is going to end up being in MMA. So if someone like Frankie Edgar pops up, I'm obviously like 100% saying yes, even if he wants to fight at 155 pounds, I don't care. Those super fights, I mean, that's where guys are really going to get paid. Fighting a guy like that, I mean, plus, he's like one of my absolute favorite fighters. It's that old saying, work so hard that your idols become your rivals. Well, that's exactly what I've been aiming to do for a long time. I mean, I used to watch, Brian Caraway and Aljamain Sterling, on TV when I just started, I just turned professional, and, I told myself, like, if I work hard one day, I'm going to do that. Well, now I'm there, and, I just want more. I want to fight, I want to fight guys that, that I idolize. So, I mean, the Garbands and the TJ Dillashaw's and Dominic Cruz, like, I want to fight all those guys.
So let's put a local slant on this fight with you and Aljo. Aljamain Sterling, he's a part of the Ray Longo and I can't remember.
Chris Weidman.
Weidman, yeah. The Weidman Longo camp.
My God.
Had a brave right there. But with a guy like a Ray Longo and Weidman, he's had a lot of fighters that have made it to the UFC and made their name there. Chris Weidman, Sarah, all those guys.
Yeah.
From MTT going up against that crew, is there almost like I guess you would say, like, this isn't just you fighting against Aljo, this is almost MTT with the opportunity to make themselves a bigger fight camp with a win in this fight?
I mean, yeah. I mean, every single time you win, obviously you're helping promote your gym. But I mean, when I fought Tom Duquesnoy, I was literally looking across the cage at freaking Greg Jackson. You know what I mean? So it was like MTT against Jackson MMA, which is like literally the biggest MMA gym, besides the American Top Team, in the world. And I fought guys from American Top Team too. So, I don't look at it like that. I think that there's a lot of really good guys in big gyms, but I think that being a champion is in the mind. It's not a gym. It's a mentality that you have. And, I think that if you really, really want to be good, look at Conor McGregor. I mean, he made his gym famous. Like, no one ever heard of his gym. Like, no one has a clue what that gym was before Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? They didn't have anybody in the UFC.
Right.
It really came out of nowhere, and now it's like one of the, most sought after gyms in the world. He made that gym famous, not the other way around. So, yeah, I don't really look at it as like a a gym battle thing, like a Michigan top team. I just look at it like I'm an individual. Obviously, guys that at top team are 100% going to be a huge factor in my success. But I don't look at it like it's not like a David versus Goliath kind of thing. I look at it like this is me and him. Ultimately, he can have all Hall of Famers and whatever coach he wants in his corner. When I get my hands on him, there's no one on the fucking planet that's going to be able to help him.
So with Darren fighting this weekend in Japan, how is that for you leading up to a fight? Is it like a good little bit of a release from camp a little bit, or is it still just as stressful considering you'll be cornering Darren and all that stuff?
I mean, it's not ideal that I'm going to Japan right now, but honestly, I've known about this fight with Sterling for well over a month, so I've been training hard, like really hard. I mean, realistically, I'm looking at probably a 12-week training camp. So, the fact that I'm going to go to Japan and break it up a little bit, come back, and I'll still have six and a half hard weeks, to prepare. I mean, I'm going to get, I basically worked out. I've worked out almost 10 days straight leading up to, having to go to Japan, knowing that I was going to have a couple lighter days. And again, I'm still going to work out while I'm there. But, I think it's actually going to be kind of a good thing, give my body a little bit of a rest, then kind of, kick it into gear when I get back and then ease up right before the fight.
So,
I mean, it's just the only thing that's challenging is the traveling.
So now that Aljo seems to be kind of volleying back now with all the shit talking and all that stuff, like what's that do for you, psychologically? Does it make you feel like you've got in his head? Does it hype you up more? Like, what does that do for you now that he's actually, that it's not like you're just talking shit and he's not saying anything back? Does it hype you up anymore?
I honestly couldn't give two shits. You know what I mean? Whether he says anything or not. Like anything he says, anything any of his fans say, actually, I think it's entertaining as fuck. You get all these dorks that are hanging on to Alto's nuts, saying all this weird shit on Twitter. Like one dude, I don't know, he wrote he was completely butchering everything. Like he was talking.
Yeah, I saw that.
But he was using the wrong words. All kinds of shit. I'm like, man, what the fuck?
Is that the one that you quoted and said, "Can somebody translate this for me?"
Yeah, someone translate this for me. Like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? No, I think that's entertaining and shit. I mean, listen, if you're in the MMA game, you better have some thick fucking skin, because some 13-year-old kid's gonna get on Twitter and on Instagram and tell you that you're a pussy and that you're gonna get your ass beat in your next fight. So I mean, you're gonna run into that, and if you can't handle that, throws you off mentally or ruins your day, I mean, you really should take a different profession. I mean, I have thick skin. That doesn't bother me a bit. I was able to say whatever the hell he wants. There's really no, whether he's talking or not, I'm still going to be training my nuts off, ready to kick his ass. So I don't really care either way. I just, I want to sell this fight. I want this fight to be huge. I want this to be a big fight, obviously, because, my fight with Caraway, I went and fought a freaking top 10 dude, and, no, there wasn't any attention on it because, Caraway freaking did a social media blackout, hadn't been around forever. And, I felt like there should have been way more attention on it, and it was to the point where, we got moved down to Fight Pass.
Yeah,
Dude, literally
Pass.
A contender fighting a freaking top 10 guy on Fight Pass. It's what the hell, how does that happen? But I mean, a lot of that comes down to there were fights that dropped and fights that were added. So, I want to be a pay-per-view guy though, and I think the best way to do that is to just, promote the shit out of this fight, do my job outside the cage, and, make people love or hate me, and make them want to watch me fight.
So how do you think, speaking of all that, with all the shit talking and social media bullshit and all that stuff, how do you think social media as a whole has changed things as to how it was before social media was such the big boom? Now that you can go promote yourself at a click of your finger instead of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's like cheap free advertising, right, for athletes. I mean, if you really want to, you can sell anything. There's 100 different avenues to make money on social media. I have sponsors that pay me monthly on social media. They're paying my bills basically. So, I mean, it's helped. I think it's helped a lot of guys out. But I think really the person who came in and changed MMA was Conor McGregor. You know, people saw what he could do. You know, just running his mouth. You know, obviously the dude backed it up too, but you know, people saw the value in it after he did it, and then now, I think, you know, everyone's trying to more or less copy Conor McGregor. They're trying to like be him, but he really wrote the book on, you know, how to promote fights and how to make shit happen. And you know, this isn't like shit talking and all that stuff isn't something that just popped up. You know, boxers have been doing it for 30 years.
Right.
You know, get Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson still, you know, Mike Tyson lost a lot of big fights, but he's still known as like one of the best ever. You know, Muhammad Ali lost a lot of big fights, but still known as one of the best ever because he's just great at marketing. You know, he was a showman inside and outside of the cage. And you know, if you really want to make the big bucks, you want to be you know, kind of immortalized in the fighting world. And I mean, that's really what you got to do. You got to get that attention. You got to get people loving and hating you.
All right, Cody, I'm going to ask you a very unfair question. And this kind of goes to a debate that me and Kyle's had over the last couple of weeks.
Shit,
So this is
you
very
motherfucker.
If you had to rank your top 5 fighters of all time in the UFC, who would you put in your top 5? I know it's an unfair question. I'm sorry.
All-time, like game changers, like guys that Frankie Edgar, Anderson Silva, John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, and maybe Uriah Faber.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very diverse list. So okay, you're in the UFC. You're ranked. Who better to have to help us with this debate? So after the DC fight, the DC Stipe Miocic fight, me and Kyle were having a debate about who is the number 1 fighter of all time, and I think John Jones is the number 1 fighter of all time, right? So Kyle, he was saying that he couldn't put John Jones number 1 overall because of the steroid allegations. We'll call them allegations for right now. But he said had those steroid issues not come up, that John Jones would have been his number 1 overall.
I said if he was popped for steroids, at least tell the whole fucking thing.
I don't think I misrepresented you at all, sir. But he said because of the steroid thing, he had him number 3 on his list. Now, my stance is that, hey, if you're going to put a steroid user on your list and you think he's the number 1 fighter of all time, if he was no steroids, make him your number 1 or don't have him on the list at all.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's a weird thing. I definitely don't think that DC is the number 1 fighter of all time in MMA, and I also don't think John Jones is either. I think, I mean, geez, I mean, as far as like winning fights goes, I mean, I look at a guy like Anderson Silva or Demetrius Johnson. You know what I mean? Like guys that defended the title like a freaking billion times,
yeah, right.
Or even GSP. I mean, like sure.
GSP was the name that I named as number 1 because to me, I said he's avenged all his losses and he's won titles in 2 different weight classes. My whole thing with John Jones and what I told him was, in my opinion, there's no denying the fact that John Jones is a God-given, amazing athlete and has great skills. My whole standpoint was, to me, you know, having seen so many of you guys train and all those things and just seeing what the difference of someone being that much stronger being, I feel that like somebody getting popped for steroids, I couldn't put him as number 1, but at the same time, you can't deny the fact that the guy's a great athlete, and he said that was hypocritical because I still had him on the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those shoulda, coulda, woulda things. Like, would John Jones be the number 1 overall on everyone's list? You know, had he stayed healthy and not gotten popped for fucking just about every damn thing you can get popped for? I mean, yeah, probably. I don't think anybody could deny that. But it's like shoulda, coulda, woulda. You know, he fucked up, and you know now he's not that guy. Maybe someday he comes back and he is. But right now, I don't think you can put him on. I wouldn't even put him on the list. You know, he's not even eligible to fight. And it's like he's a thing of the past. I mean, he's 2 years suspended for 2 years.
Yep.
He's still out for like another year.
Right.
I I mean, by the time he comes back, I mean, freaking DC's going to be freaking 50 years old.
So basically, you're saying if you're against steroids, you shouldn't even have him on the list.
Yeah, I mean, he's not even eligible as an athlete, so I mean, he can't be on the list. Like, the dude is obviously a killer. You know, he's freaking undefeated, never lost. Well, he's lost, but it was a DS or disqualification. But
right,
I mean, you can't even put him on the list. I can't. I mean, I would never put him on my list because, I mean, it has nothing to do with steroids. It's the fact that he's like
a general
just
fuck up.
blowing every opportunity. Yeah, I mean, he's like just a freaking just putting all kinds of bad juju all over MMA. I mean, the dude's not doing anything but sport. Right. And if you want to talk about somebody who brought the sport way up, I mean, more than anybody else, you can't deny that Conor McGregor would be that guy. You know, he's literally put more eyes on MMA than any other athlete ever.
And, it's funny you bring that up because that's something like I said, we've been having this like top 5 debate for the last couple of weeks, and that's something I've been thinking about. Like, I'm almost to the point now where I kind of have to put Conor McGregor in my top 5 because, I mean, he really only had one loss really in the UFC that we know about, and he then avenged that loss later on. The only thing that I think kind of keeps him out of my top 5 is the fact that he hasn't defended any of his championships. But other than that, like, if you look at he has a very impressive resume, and the eyeballs he's put on the sport, you can't deny that. So I mean, I'm almost to the point where he's probably number 6 on my list, and I feel like if he defended like one of those championships, he probably would move further up on that list.
Yeah, I mean, the dude absolutely he did more for the sport. I mean, made more money than anybody. I mean, what's the criteria for like being best of all time? I mean, he had belts at 2 weight classes. You know, he sold 3 of the biggest fights ever in history of fighting.
Right.
He every single time he was in a championship fight, every single time he was in one of those big fights. You know, he went out and won outside of Diaz, but I mean, he came back and won that fight, and shit. I mean, they made twice as much money as they were gonna. He just won.
So let's move away from MMA a little bit, man. I don't know why, man. I enjoy watching your Instagram, man. You seem like you're always having some fun, man.
I try, dude. I mean, what's the point? Man, I try to have a good time every day. My schedule's pretty free, obviously, because I don't work a 9 to 5. So I'm always like fucking around with my dog or doing something entertaining. I was trying to.
So for people that might not know a lot about you, why don't you tell people some of your hobbies and some of the things you like to do when you're not training or cornering Darren Croshank or some of the local fighters, man? What's some of your hobbies outside of MMA?
I mean, I'm kind of a backwoods boy. I like to hunt and fish. Pretty much anything outside. So I just got a dog. Fucking adore this thing. Little lab. He's awesome. Yeah, if I'm not training, I'm at the gym. I'm probably on a lake or in the river, or anybody outside fucking around with my puppy or shooting or catching fish.
Can't blame you there, dude. I love doing all those things this time of year too, man.
Yeah, it was
a good time.
It was one picture in particular, man, that I saw. I think it was from the wintertime, man. You had like a stack of geese, man. Like, talk to me about goose hunting, man. That's something that I've always kind of wanted to try out, man. Talk to me about goose hunting.
Man, goose hunting's awesome. So I was in the field. We literally lay down these. They're called layout blinds. Like you literally lay down in this blind, and like you shot your guns between your legs, and call the geese in. They pretty much land right on top of you, and you blast them. It's a blast. And obviously, I'm not a guy that just I'm not killing for sport. I do it. I eat everything I kill. So, you don't get any more organic and free range than something you blast out of the sky.
Man, so what other wild game do you like, man? That's something what other wild game do you like to eat? That's something I'm getting into myself is a wild game. So what's some wild game that you like to eat that you can actually talk about on the podcast?
I mean, venison is probably I mean, it's like probably the leanest, like highest protein, any kind of deer meat. I mean, crazy healthy. So, I shoot a deer probably every year and stock my freezer, or deer or two deer, and I eat that shit throughout the year. Obviously, saves you a bunch of money, and you're not buying a bunch of freaking bullshit in your meat. So, I mean, it's probably the healthiest, most humane way to get, really, really solid, good, high quality meat.
So, with Darren's return over to Ryzen, give us your thoughts on him getting back in the win column and all that stuff over there, and what are your thoughts on Ryzen as opposed to the stuff you see with you being in the UFC?
No, Ryzen's a great promotion. Obviously not as big as the UFC, not quite as well organized, but it's awesome. I love going over there. Those guys, they treat you really well. Darren's made a good name for himself over there. And I'm really happy with all the success that he's had. I think he's going to run through this guy that he's fighting next. And hopefully, it'd be a dream come true to see him and I on a UFC card together someday.
That'd be cool, especially if they come back here to Detroit.
Especially.
Yeah, right? Super badass.
Yeah, so we've had plenty of your MTT teammates here on the show, man. Anybody got any fights coming up anytime soon that you next Friday? I think Manib's fighting next week.
Yep, Manib's fighting.
Yeah,
Marco's
Manib
fighting.
and Elijah Cavender, two guys from the gym, and then a couple of guys I train with. Manny and TJ Laramie are fighting TKO next Thursday. So, two guys that we work out with getting in pretty soon, which is nice because it kind of raises the level in the gym. And then a bunch of guys are fighting in September, so things be cooking.
Manny had quite the knockout on that last WXC card. Like, is with you having to still corner at a lot of these local fights and stuff, does that like help you stay grounded and stuff like that? Like seeing where you came from while you're seeing the top end of it at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but at the same time, I don't really look at myself any differently. I'm still, trying to be the same dude I was, working hard and just trying to make shit happen, always moving up in the sport. It's just, as time goes on, I keep moving up, as planned. I work hard. I think I probably work the hardest out of anyone I know. So, I knew that eventually this is where I would be. Even when I was fighting local shows, I knew that eventually, I was going to be like, one of the top guys in the world. So, it's just, same shit, different day. It's just, me, fighting at a high level. But, I mean, anyone, I believe that, any of these guys that I coach and train with, could easily be where I am, could just like put their nose down and make the decision like, hey, this is what I'm going to do.
Okay. Yeah, we'll ask a couple more questions and we'll get you out of here so you can pack and get ready to head over to Japan. But question I had is we had Matt Frendo call in to the show last week, and I don't know if you remember the name, and I don't think he wanted to put the name out there.
Are you really gonna go there?
Yeah, I am. So we were talking about this whole steroids debate, and basically what Frendo was telling me was that there was a fight that he was looking to put you in against a guy from Iowa. You don't have to say the name. But he said basically he didn't want to make that fight because when he saw him, he realized this guy was probably walking around at about 200 pounds of cutting down, and he thought he was juiced to the gills. Like, do you remember this fight or this potential fight?
Was it Zach Church?
He didn't mention a name, so
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You didn't have to.
Oh,
we might edit that out.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
He just said that it was because we were talking about how prevalent steroids may be on the local scene that people may not even realize, and he said that there was a fight that he had tried to book for you that he didn't even want you to fight him because the guy was he had to been jacked up on steroids.
Oh, that might have been the next Church guy that I fought. It was when I fought before the UFC actually. And that dude was strong as shit. I mean, he literally like lifted me off the ground like it was nothing. But it didn't help him too much in that second round. I fucking knocked him out.
But I brought that up because when we were talking to Frendo, he was kind of saying that like as far as like Michigan goes and like the local scene, like the steroid testing is probably not as good as it should be.
No, they don't even test steroids.
Well,
The athletic commission doesn't even test for steroids. Straight up, it's a joke. I mean, yeah, like you can get popped for smoking weed, but you can take steroids and no one knows. I mean, obviously in the UFC, you can't get away with that shit because USADA knows where you are all the time. Like they show up. I mean, they could literally show up in my house right now and pop me and like try to pee test me. So in the UFC, you can't be doing that shit. But local shows. I mean, I'm sure a lot of guys are taking steroids. I mean, I don't really know why you would really. I mean, as far as like being an MMA fighter goes, I mean, being lean and fast is more like there's no steroids that make you faster that I know of. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I never something I wanted to mess around with, because I feel like once you start doing that kind of stuff, you get like dependent on it, like John Jones.
Right.
I think it was more of a mental thing for him. He kept taking it when USADA showed up because I think it was a mental thing. He just like he'd been doing it for so long that he was just like willing to take that risk because not only he didn't think he had it unless he was on juice. But I mean, for me, I've been getting accused of taking steroids since I was in high school. And I just I kind of just like brushed it off, like screw you. I mean, I'm getting pee tested like every 2 weeks, so
right.
If I'm taking steroids, I would have been caught by now.
Well, as far as like the Michigan MMA scene, is there any besides include steroids? But is there anything that you like to see regulated better here in the Michigan area?
I mean, no, I feel like they do a pretty good job. There are a lot of fights. There's a lot of fights that the athletic commission maybe shouldn't let happen, but ultimately, a lot of those guys know that they're going in there to die. So they're there to collect a paycheck. I mean, you see guys like 1-13 fighting a half, like 8-0. You're like, yeah, I wonder how the commission approved this one. But I mean, ultimately, they knew their part in the gig. When they signed up for it. So I can't really aid the athletic commission. I feel like Michigan Athletic Commission has done a pretty good job. I mean, if there's anything that I think could be changed, I think that the judges, should maybe have a little bit more MMA experience of that.
I
more
agree
qualifications.
completely.
Basically, anybody can just sign up and be a fucking judge. I mean, and that's BS. You're talking about someone's future in your hands. I mean, for me, I mean, I got screwed out of a really bad.
I was about to say I'll never forget your fight in WXC for that.
That WXC, I mean, that was messed up, and it cost me like 2 years in my career. So, I mean, that can really screw somebody up, a bad decision like that. But, and then it comes down to the athlete too, I probably should have, obviously, done a little bit more, but, yeah, and that's the only thing I would say needs to be changed. Judges need to be a little bit better.
I think that goes MMA wide because the fight with another guy who's, I don't know if he's from Michigan, but I know you've probably trained with him, is Scoggins in that fight when.
Oh man, that was bad. That was fucked up. Like he like knew he won. He was like floating around the last minute of the fight.
Shit,
like,
his opponent knew he won. He only won because of his opponent only won because of his name.
Yeah. Yeah, his opponent looked surprised when he had his hand raised. Like, oh, what the fuck? Oh, what? Oh shit. I mean, that's pretty bad. And the guy that won got a surprised look on his face, like, holy shit. Oh, really? Really?
That's just like what happened to one of your buddies who we had on here, Vince Murdoch.
Yeah.
It's just insane, dude. Yeah. It's like MMA has gotten as big as it has, and it still has the same fundamental problems as far as judging, scoring, all those kind of things. Because we've heard people like Joe Rogan talk about it for years that he felt that MMA...
It got so big so fast. You know what I mean? There wasn't enough qualified people to take care of the demand. You know what I mean? All these people that freaking clueless, people that literally maybe did some karate or did, one aspect of MMA, and like that's literally what they see. That's literally the only thing they see in a fight, and it's fucked up. But when's it going to change? It's going to take a long time. It's going to be a bunch of retired MMA fighters, eventually that are judging and refereeing and doing all that shit. But right now there's just not that many of those guys.
Well, Cody, appreciate you coming on the show, man. Real quick.
Yeah, no worries.
Real quick question. Do you know of any way that people can watch the Rising show that's going to be this weekend? Because I'm looking at the card, man. This is a pretty decent card they got put together, man.
I think I think it's Fight TV is
it's
how
on
you can
Fight
watch it.
TV.
It's an app called Fight TV. That's how they watched it in the past. Don't quote me on this because I don't honestly know, but I'm pretty sure it's Fight TV. That's how people watched it in the past. FITE.
Okay.
Not like.
Yeah, because I'm going through the
So-
card. You got Crowshank on here, Ren Nakai, who fought in the UFC. She's on here. Diego Brandao. They got Takanori Gomi versus Melvin Gillard. It's a pretty good card they got together. I'm probably gonna check this out this weekend, man.
Hell yeah.
So, just to get you out of here, man, why don't you go ahead? You got any last words for your opponent, Mr. Aljamain Sterling, coming up September 8th in Dallas, UFC 228?
Aljo, stay healthy, buddy. I'm gonna beat your ass soon enough.
Short and sweet and to the point, man.
Yes, sir. Why don't you go ahead and throw your social media and, like you say, if you got anything you need to promote or plug, go ahead and take care of that, and we'll get you out of here, buddy.
Yeah, social media is just Cody Stamen, CODYSTAMANN. Yeah, thanks guys for taking the time. I look forward to putting on a show for everybody September 8th. Dallas.
We appreciate it, man. I'll probably see you down at the WXC fights on the 3rd.
Hell yeah, I'll see you there.
Cool.
All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate you coming on again.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cody Stamen, for joining us, man. Hey, Randy, how much time we got, man?
A little under 10 minutes.
A little under 10 minutes. All right. What you want to talk about for 10 minutes, man?
Well, what's the other half of the show about?
Huh?
What's the other half of the show about? MMA and what else?
Yeah, we always talk wrestling. Let's talk MMA.
Well, I know I, for one, am going to be at the WXC fights, and good luck to past guest of the show, Marco Smallman, who also has a big fight on that card.
Isn't he the main event on that one? Or is he the co-main?
Not sure.
Okay.
Co-main event, I believe.
And he just had a birthday. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Something like that.
Yeah, happy birthday to Marco. I think I'll make it down at WXC. Where's that fight?
Southgate Civic Center.
Okay. Go ahead, get your tickets, people.
Hell yeah, there's going to be some good fights. Heavyweight title main event. Leroy Johnson, one of Cody's teammates, is going to fight against Liam. I know who it is. I know you listen to the card. Brett Martin. There you go. Brett Big Dog Martin. I couldn't think of it. Anyway, he was KOP's champ, and he's coming to WXC now.
Okay.
With all the bullshit that happened with KOP. So they'll be the main event. You've got Manib will be on that card. Marco will be on that card. One of mine and Drew's teammates, Michael Glenn, will be on that card. Let's see. It's a lot of motherfuckers on that card. Elijah Cavender, another one of my teammates from back in the past. So it'll be some good fights. Big ups to Elijah finally getting himself back on the win column. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, man. Other than that, I can't think of nothing else.
Man, so let's talk. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and talk a little wrestling. Let's talk about who we got coming up next week, man. This is, I think, Kyle's the one. Well, Pepper Kyle's the one that got this one together.
Technically, shout out to friend of the show, Johnny Atkins. Johnny Atkins is the same person that passed Madman Pondo to us.
Okay.
He's the one that passed Tony Atlas to us. And if you need something to do, he will be here next week at Johnny's show.
It's at Metro
Pro Wrestling. We'll share the event out. I don't remember the exact day. I just know it's next weekend. So shout out to Johnny for that. Looking forward to talking to Tony Atlas. Tony Atlas was The Rock's father's tag team partner with the first ever
Soul Patrol.
Yes, sir. The first ever African American champions. So that's a good thing for us. Another Hall of Famer, stacking up the resume, bro.
A WWE Hall of Famer coming next week, man.
Number 2 for us.
2 for now. I think we're gonna get
I'm talking about thus far.
right now, officially as of this point, right now.
I
2
thought
Hall
you
of
forgot
Famers.
about Booker T for a minute.
No.
You
I was-
son of a bitch.
Kelson, I think is Eric Bischoff in there, but I think Bischoff and Bruce Pritchard get in there eventually.
I hope so. I think they should.
Brother love, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Tony Atlas, man. That's I actually remember watching him wrestle as a young kid, man.
I thought he was funny as hell on Legends House.
You know what? I have never watched Legends
Dude, that
House.
shit was hysterically funny.
I've never watched Legend. I think.
How the fuck have you not watched that?
See, that was like early WWE Network, and really the only thing I watched back then on the network was the Monday Night Wars series. But like, I'm not a big reality show guy either. So
That shit was funny.
with Hillbilly Jim and
That
Mean
shit
Gene
was
Okerlund and
And the late great Hot Rod,
Hot Rod.
Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart was on there. Yeah, I might go back and watch a little
That
bit
shit,
of that.
in my opinion, was funny. So
I'll probably go back and watch a little bit of Legends House since we got one of the cast members coming in. But I'm really looking forward to talking to Tony Atlas, man. Like you said, he bodybuilder, WWE Hall of Famer, one of the first African American tag team champions, manager, ECW alum.
one of the most synonymous laughs in the business.
When I say ECW, it's about WWECW. But definitely looking forward to having him come in next week.
Oh,
man.
shit. He was in ECW. I forgot about that.
He's very instrumental in the career of Mark Henry. So we'll definitely ask all these questions. So, hell, if you got questions for WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas, make sure you shoot them to us on either the Reality Era news page on Facebook.
Or just call in.
Or you can call in.
Sorry for not putting out the number this time, ladies and gentlemen, but we will have that out next week.
Will we?
Yeah.
Are we going to do it? Okay, we'll do it. But you know what? How much time we got, Randy? Maybe like 3 minutes? All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up there. I was going to say, let's talk a little bit about the current product, but we'll just go ahead and wrap it up and call it a day. So, Mr. Collison, why don't you go ahead and throw your social medias and anything you got coming up, sir?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Detroit Knockout, at Detroit Knockout on Twitter and Instagram. Follow our page, the Knockouts and 3 Counts podcast page. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at KO3CPod. Yeah. Pay attention, share it with your mother, share it with your friends. Tell them all.
Yes, sir.
And
And
if they don't like it, fuck their couch.
you can't tell people's mother to fuck that. Never mind.
It's for their mother to. I said if they don't like it.
Fuck their couch. All right. You can check me out on Twitter at Devin63. That's DEVINTHE63. You can check me out on Instagram at Allsteak No Sizzle. That is one word. Make sure you check out the Reality Era news page on Facebook where we talk wrestling. If you're looking for a vehicle, I like saying the word vehicle. If you're looking for a vehicle, make sure you check out SouthfieldQualityCars.com. Take a look at their inventory. Once you find a car that you would like to purchase and you go in to make that purchase, use the reference code 19309. That's 19309, and you'll receive $500 off on your purchase. And real quick, my old podcast, All Steak No Sizzle, will be making a return very soon. I'm going to be recording my first episode really soon. I'll give more details when that episode is going to be coming out in the future. But and it also has some archive stuff from last year or 2 years ago that I've been waiting to put out. I'm going to put that out as well. So,
Oh, shit.
yeah, All Steak No Sizzle will be making a bit of a comeback now that I have a lot of free time. So, anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Mr. Collison?
I need like some kind of miracle right now to fix my shoulder. Other than that, I'm good because let me tell you, even though Fortnite is cool and all, I'm tired of this not getting paid shit, and I want to go back to the gym. So, yeah, the shoulder needed to hurry the fuck up. Other than that, fuck your couch.
All that being said, people, we'll check you out next week. We have WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas. Peace.